Hello friends! Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to a chill stream where I'm going to be working on a Discord bot / manager type thing. So if you tuned in yesterday, I streamed for 5 hours, but it's pretty much just me figuring things out. Like when I got into it yesterday, I didn't know I was going to be using Discord.js. Didn't really know how I was going to do anything and just figured it out over the course of 5 hours through the help of wonderful people in the chat like Matcha and Rebel Fighter and JT and many others. We figured things out yesterday, but if you've taken a look at the code, it is ugly. Like I wanted to just refactor it like right after I wrote it, but I waited because I wanted to do it on stream. But yeah, if you've looked at the code, it's ugly. It's super ugly code. And so tonight I want to refactor it, make it a lot cleaner, basically restructure it so that it's going to be probably a little bit less code as well. And yeah, so that's the plan. And one of the things yesterday, so I kept doing this. I was like, darn it, JavaScript, when I would like forget to import something or like be referencing an undefined variable, but that was my fault. That was not JavaScript's fault. I was blaming JavaScript because it allows me to do those things. But today, the first thing I'm going to do is set up ESLint so that I get linter warnings when I have undefined variables and stuff like that. And I guess one thing I will point out is in the Discord.js guide, they actually tell people to set up a linter, which I think is awesome. So if you're looking at the Discord.js guide, they have how to install Node in Discord, telling you should set up a linter, tells you how to set up a bot application. Somehow, like, it took me probably 20 minutes to figure out how to do this, and I didn't see the documentation here, but the docs are really good, so pay attention to the docs. Let's say hello to everyone. Oh, wait. Okay. Hello, Rebel Fighter, welcome back. And Chris, Miguel, Oliver, welcome, and Ran. And Luis, and Gadamosi. Tuning in from Nigeria, awesome, welcome. And Christian, hello. And Skelly, and Sultan, and JT, he's back. Awesome. Gadamosi is asking, when am I going to stream noob stream auth part 6? I don't know. It might be a couple of weeks, actually. Mainly because we did that for like 4 weeks straight. We're trying to do other things, but it will happen. It will happen very soon. Oh, and Sultan is saying, how about refactor the whole thing in TypeScript? It'd be a fun challenge. The only thing is, I'm not going to be streaming for 5 hours tonight. I will be streaming for 2, really, at the most. And so it's an interesting thing. Like, I'm basically just writing the same code, but now that I've gotten more experience with the docs and I've gotten help from everyone, it should be a lot faster to get things done. And so the other thing, like, and reason why I say the code is so ugly, and so let's kind of take a tour of what I built yesterday. And essentially, I wanted a way to manage users on my Discord server. So if you have been to the Coding Garden Discord, you may notice that when you join, there's a welcome channel. I have information about all of the different channels we have on the Discord, links to resources and things like that. We have a code of conduct. And the main thing is I wanted people, before they could even access the server, to acknowledge that they had read the code of conduct. And then also, before they could access the server, I want people to submit a message in introductions so that they introduce themselves and we can get to know the people that are in the Coding Garden community. So what we did yesterday was we created this group called Seedling and essentially moved everyone into the Seedling group. And then I have a bot listening, and anytime a new user joins the server, they get moved into the germinating group. And I think there's a couple people that are germinating that haven't posted their introduction yet, so they're the color brown. And the idea is, as a germinating user, you can only see welcome and you can only see introductions. And then I have my bot listening to check to see when the code of conduct receives an emoji reaction, and then also when a message is sent in introductions. So if the bot detects that a germinating user or a new user has acknowledged the code of conduct and sent a introduction message, it moves them into the Seedling group where they can access the rest of the channels. So that's what we built yesterday. It was fun. It took a while, had lots of help. But today, like I said, we're going to refactor. And hello, Beaten Egg. Welcome. Okay, let's do this. So first thing is let's set up ESLint. So I'm going to just install as a dev dependency ESLint. I guess the thing to mention is if you look at the Discord guide, they talk about how to set up ESLint. They talk about how to set up rules, but I'll show a command we can run that'll let us answer some questions. So we got ESLint, and now let's do npx ESLint -- init. And this is going to ask us some questions, so it'll then generate an ESLint file. So let's answer questions about my style. We'll use, I guess technically, I don't know, we'll just say we support ES 2018 features. Are you using ES6 modules? We're not, because we're using require syntax in Node. ES6 modules is like the import-export syntax. Our code is going to be running in Node. We will not be using JSX. I prefer a 2-space tab and single quotes and Unix line endings. And I do prefer semicolons. JavaScript, there we go. And so that generates this eslint.js file in the current directory. So we can see that here. And all of the questions that I answered were thrown in here. And you'll notice it also adds in ESLint recommended. The one thing I will fix is I prefer a 2-space tab, so I'm going to update that setting. And now let's see how bad things are. If I go into the index.js, okay, so the ESLint recommended rules say to throw an error for logs. That's cool. So there's the logs, there's some like inconsistent indentation. Cool, but now my editor will actually tell me if I have undefined variables that I'm trying to use, so that's a good thing. Amr mentioned, are you going to take a look at my pull request? I did not know I had one. Is it on the Discord bot repo? Discord manager? Which repo is it on? Or are you talking about the TDD Game of Life? Is that you, Amr? Oh, this one, yes. Yeah, I took a look at it. I will merge it soon. One thing I wanted to do was, because you have so many commits, I want to squash it down to just one commit, so that way we don't see all of like the work you did in between. It just shows what it was and then what it will be. But I will accept it. I did take a look. Awesome. Okay, let's do this. I feel like I'm always stalling. I'm always just like, let's just code this thing. Okay, so we have the linter file. That's awesome. Set that up. All right, refactor const variables to env. So one thing we were doing yesterday is we have all of these variables. Like welcome channel ID, introduction channel ID, the message ID for the code of conduct, the germinating role, which is the role that they first get moved in when they join the server, the seedling role ID. And the horrible thing about this is I have these variables defined here, and then I also have some of them defined in this separate file where I was trying to be like a little bit modular, but this is horrible. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna define a new file and just call it like config.js. And this will just export an object. And this object will have all of those things in it. So we pretty much need these. I'm just going to copy them for now and throw them in here. But let's make them properties on the object. Commas. Cool. So now those are in this config file. And let's also grab any extra ones that are in here, throw them in here. There's probably some duplicates, so we don't need code of conduct message ID, seedling, or germinating role ID. We do have, yeah, the only thing extra there was the minimum intro message length. So this potentially will be configurable if I want to change it in the future. Okay. Wonderful. So now all of those variables are in a single file, and then I can just pluck off the ones that I need. So like in index.js, basically I can just require in and destructure these variables that I need. So let's say welcome channel ID, introduction channel ID, code of conduct message ID, germinating role ID, and seedling role ID will be equal to requiring in that config file. Oh, not lib, config. And now, make sure I did everything. Welcome channel, introduction channel, code of conduct, germinating, seedling. Now all of those global variables can go away. And the variables now do exist inside of this file. They're just pulling them from the config rather than redefining them. And then we can do the same thing in lib. So let's do our same old destructuring. So we want code of conduct message ID, seedling role ID, germinating role ID. Oh, nope. Terminating role ID, min intro message length, and welcome channel ID. And then we can get rid of all these. So let's double check that one, that one, that one, and that one. Cool. And this will be required in from our config. Cool. And so now that everything's nice and in the config, potentially I can move these into environment variables rather than being like hard coded in the file itself. But before I move any further, let's actually start up the server to make sure I haven't borked anything. And one thing I'll mention is, so I have just like a spare Linux server running around. So right now the CG bot is running on that Linux server, and it's just sitting there spinning right along. And if I start up a new bot, then basically they'll they'll interfere with each other because they'll both be listening for messages and things like that. And so actually I got some comments on the last video from yesterday from a user named California with some like really great tips in terms of like testing, because like yesterday it was fun to like have everyone involved, and like I would try something and like, oh wait, let me switch your role and you can try it. But when you're developing a bot like this, you probably want to have like a test server and some test users and like a test bot token, so that way you don't accidentally like delete all the users in your Discord. So one thing I think I'll do after I get everything in an env file is create a test server to run this against. And then now that everything is in the environment variables, when I switch to like production, we'll use these IDs, but when we're on the test server, we'll use those IDs. So I'm gonna set that up. One thing I'm gonna do right now is hide my screen and then bring down the bot server that's currently running on my Linux server. Cool. And so I actually use something called Forever, which is a tool that allows you to run a script or a process on a server, and if it ever crashes, it automatically restarts it, and any logs get put in a specific file so you can monitor it. But I was looking in the Discord JS guides, and they actually recommend a tool called PM2, which I think is a fork of Forever. But I'll talk about that later when I deploy. Basically, how do you put this on a server and keep it running all the time? But I need to bring down the server. Yeah, and JT's mentioned, so I exposed my token like 3 times in a row yesterday, but JT's mentioning it's probably a good idea to avoid exposing my token, because if I expose the token, it's just to like the test server anyways. Okay, it's almost about to happen. So now I can stop it. Cool. And if we go back, the Coding Garden bot should be offline. I did stop the server. Oh well. But now that it's off because I killed it on the server, let's start this thing up. So let's just do node source index.js. And it will just be sitting there listening for new users. Let's actually like resize this, just in case anybody joins while we're doing all of this. And now let's bring these things into the .env file. So in my sample env, I basically need all of these. So if I go in sample.env, oh yeah, that's the guild ID, cool. I probably want to bring in, yeah, I think I'm going to add the guild ID to the config file as well. equals. Cool. Yeah, and I think I'll add the guild ID to the config. So here we'll have this. And now in the file that's using guild ID, we can just bring it in from the config. Pew. Process.env.guild ID. I basically want to find all of these and just make it, nope. Just make it guild ID. So that way it's just reading it from the config, and then I'll update the config to read from the env file. So there's that, and then I think I'm probably using it over here too. Guild ID. No? Guess not. Cool. Rebel Fighter is asking, PM2 is like Tmux? I don't think so. So Tmux is, as far as I know, for managing multiple sessions in one terminal. PM2 is, I think it's Process Manager 2. Basically, it manages multiple processes, but if what's the word? It watches the process, and if the process crashes, like if there was an error or something like that, it automatically restarts it. And then you can also set it to start up on boot of the server. So if your server ever goes down, the moment your server comes up, PM2 will start up and then start up all of the things that you want running in the background all of the time. Cool. Oh, and Rebel Fighter is mentioning, so a second ago I was pointing at CGBot. They're saying typically it takes 30 seconds to a minute before it goes offline. But now that I have it running over here, it's still going to show online. Okay. So all of those things are in our sample env. Now I need to update my real env. I'm going to hide my screen while I do that. How do I do this? Oh yeah, because so what I did yesterday was I actually hid my env inside of VS Code just so I wouldn't accidentally open it. So all that goes there. That line goes away. Cool. And now, so this file here I'm calling sample.env. So if anybody ever downloads this repo, they can see what things you need to have in your .env. But because I basically took these things and put it in my .env that has my real secret token. So I now need to kill the process and restart it so that it is using the latest version of the .env. Cool. And now that it's in the .env, we just use it from the .env instead. So I think I can do this. Actually, okay, watch this editor foo. Boom, boom, boom. Process.env.those things, comma, boom. That's awesome. So now all of those values are coming in from my env file and then loaded into config, and then this file here will pull those things in from config. That's cool. Let's kill this thing one more time, and it should. Oh no! Can't read property channels of undefined. Introduction channel ID. Did I do it wrong? Oh, it's not loading the .env. So one thing I should do is load the .env in this file, and that way anywhere else that requires it should do the thing. Here we go. So now this file loads the .env, brings those things in, and then anything that requires this file has access to all of my environment variables. Almer's asking, why don't I use nodemon instead of restarting the server manually? Mainly because I want to be in control of restarting the server. I could mess things up, and I only want to restart it when I'm ready. Nodemon is a very useful tool for something like Express, but this thing I technically want listening, and then when I know that my code is good enough, I'll try to run it and restart the server. Oliver is asking, so wait, are you going to write some end-to-end tests? I don't think so. I thought about I did a little bit of research because I was very curious, like people that are writing bots, like how do you test them? Like I think what I'm going to do is just create a test server, create some test users, and test it out on that. But it would be interesting if for this Discord.js library, if you could just like emit fake events, like message sent, user added to guild, and then see what your bot does when those things happen. As far as I know, I don't think you can do that. Thanks, Oliver. I like the consistent capitalization of your env variables. I should probably fix that, shouldn't I? Typically, I like my envs to be all caps. Yeah, and AJ, hello AJ, if I didn't say hey, I think I said hey. But did you just copy and paste using multi-cursor and store each of the copies separately? Yes, so that's actually really cool. So one thing I did was, okay, like select all the colons, select these, Command C to copy, and then when you do Command V, it pastes multiple things. Let's take a quick stretch. Oh, Rebel Fighter is saying you can emit fake events, so I might look into that then, because that would be cool to like test the bot. But let's do this. I believe, can I do something like edit, convert case? The only thing is okay, let's do this. Command Shift F will search the entire project for code of conduct message. Go. And I want to replace that with code of conduct message ID. Replace everything. Yes. Okay. And then germinating role ID, replace with germinating role ID. Well, search for it. Replace everything. Replace. I think I'm gonna have to do this manually on my .env. Seedling role ID. Replace. And like the reason for the inconsistent capitalization is like yesterday, I made variables and I didn't think about, oh, these should be environment variables. So now pretty much everywhere that uses something is using an all caps variable. Cool. One thing I'll do really quick is just make sure that my local.env is updated to match that. Hide the screen. Do super secret things. Cool. Here we are. Oliver saying, just write a piece of code that removes all the ranks from someone and then asserts they get given the germinating role. Oh, but actually, the way my code works right now, though, is it only assigns the germinating role whenever a new member is added. Because the initial code we wrote yesterday was basically move everyone into seedling. And then as new users join, they get moved into germinating. Though that could be something, basically it listens for users, and if users don't have any roles, it puts germinating on them. Maybe we want that. And then Oliver's mentioning OAuth to a test account and add and remove messages and reactions on their behalf for that given user. Yeah, I mean, and it's essentially creating a bot to test the bot. But you can automate, okay, tell this other bot or like user using its token to do these things. And then the other bot that's listening should respond to those events. I don't know if I want to get that deep. today. I think I want to just do like a kind of just like a rewrite. I'll set up a test server, and we'll test it. We'll test it that way with some fake users. Okay, so that was fun. Refactoring into like this config object, like that. I guess before I move on, I should probably create a test server. Oh, there's a client.emit. Yeah, but I'm guessing when you emit, you need to make sure that you are sending the right thing. And I guess technically it is an event emitter. Yeah, so like this is built into node.js, and it definitely you can emit. Yeah, so because it is an event emitter, you can emit things. But I would need to make sure that whatever I emitted had all of the right properties that I was looking for. Like it would need to be an instance of a guild member. Yeah, so I would need to actually emit a member. And I guess I would have to create one. I don't know. It could get tricky. I'm not ready for all this. Yeah, so you have test bots, but then you got to test the test bot. It's bots all the way down. So Oliver's saying the secret is invent a meta test bot that can test not only another bot, but also itself. I think at that point, you've solved computer science. Like, it's done. We can all go home. Okay, let's try to get just like a test server going really quick. Let's do a new server. I want to create a server. Name coding garden with CJ test US East. Yeah, I'm in New York. That makes sense. Create it. Cool. Got myself a test server. And now I need my bot to join the server. And actually, I should probably, the main thing is I need to set it up so that it has a similar structure as my server. So I probably need to go into roles and create some roles. So I need like the germinating role. And it's got that brownish color. And germinators, I have it so that when you're a brand new user to the server, you can't submit links or attach files, just to prevent like spam from coming into the server. Can't connect to voice, can't see voice activity, but you can add reactions, you can read message history, and you can send messages and read text channels and voice channels. You cannot create an instant invite. You can change your nickname. Cool. And if we go to the everyone group, we need to make sure that we remove those permissions as well. So they can change their nickname. I think we made it so that everyone can't send messages. Mainly because my bot is giving them the germinating role, which then allows them to send messages. Okay. So yeah, the everyone role can read text channels and see voice channels. Cool. And then we have the seedling role, which is green. And they cannot create instant invites, but they can send messages, have links, use external emojis, they can connect to voice, all that good stuff. Oh, write a bot to clone the settings of one Discord server to another. That actually would be cool. I want to get to using like NeDB and stuff like that though. But yeah, technically I could. If I join two servers. I did not plan on coding that today. That would be cool. Future episode. Because the thing is, I only need it once. I run that bot once, and then I never have to do it again. Somebody else could benefit from it, but I don't know. Let's also add the fertilizer role. You might have noticed I changed patrons to be fertilizers. So these people cannot create instant invites, but yeah, they have all the same permissions, but they have access to specific channels. And then there's also the owner. Actually, I called it gardener, which is me. Display it separately. Administer this server. Basically, this gardener role can do everything. And I guess I can't forget about pruning roles. Manage emojis, manage webhooks, manage messages, mute members, deafen members, move members, priority speaker. Yeah, this is the super user. I'm going to make sure that all of these are displayed separately. Cool. Yeah, Rebel Fighter is mentioning, I kind of want to help test. It was fun last stream. I don't know. You know what? Yes, we're just... Okay. I set up all these permissions. I think I'll definitely... be sure to say... Well, don't forget, let me add pruners. But the thing is, I definitely want to add a lot more features to this bot. Like, I'm thinking of... You can... I have so many ideas for this bot. So... Eventually, I absolutely want to use a test server, so I will set up a test server. But today, because all these people are watching, you all can help me test. Let's do that. It makes it more fun and interactive. So they can manage. They can kick members. So pruners are the moderators. They can kick members, ban members. They can create instant invites. They can manage emojis. Sure, manage webhooks. Why not? Manage messages, so they can like delete messages and things like that. They can also mute, deafen, or move members. Cool. But I like that. Like, okay, so this thing is set up so that in the future, if I want to do some testing, I can. But today, we're going to test on this server. Okay, so now we want to refactor to use... we're going to use need.db. So the idea is because I want to store what users have joined the server, whether or not they have acknowledged the code of conduct, and whether or not they sent an introduction message, I want to store this in a database because if the server ever goes down, it won't have kept track, or it wouldn't have kept storing this object of all of this information that I'm keeping track of, or like an array of users or something like that. So we're going to use a database, a flat file database, to store this information. So that way, if the server ever goes down, when it spins back up, it already has all that memory, all that stuff in memory in the database. So you could use something like MongoDB for this, but that would require installing the Mongo engine. Need.db is basically a flat file database. It has a very similar way of interacting with it as MongoDB, but instead of having to be a real database, it just writes to a JSON file. And when we're dealing with something like a bot, where it's literally the only thing that's going to be reading and writing this database, need.db is okay for that. If you have an Express server that's taking in multiple requests and doing multiple things, you definitely don't want something like need.db, because multiple things might try to write to it at the same time, and it's not meant for something like that. So need.db is useful for our use case, where it's just like one thing that's reading and writing from it. Oliver, new task, implement your own flat file database. I could. That'd be a fun challenge, like basically reading and writing a JSON file. And then another new task, write a lot of code to ensure that your database is totally in sync with the entire Discord. I'm not going to be doing that. But so NeedDB is pretty great. Let's look at like creating and loading a database. So you can do in memory. You can specify a file name, and I believe they might even have a way of loading like a remote database. But basically, we're going to bring in NeedDB. We're going to tell it that our database file name is just going to be like db.json. And from then there on out, anytime we insert or remove something from the database, it automatically handles writing to that JSON file. So let's grab it. Where are we? We are here. We're going to do an npm install of NeedDB. Awesome, we got it. And now let's use it. So let's create a file. Let's call this like db.js. And this is where we'll create the connection to the database. So we need to bring in data store. We create a DB, and then we need to connect it somehow. So let's pass in the file path. So there's persistent data store with manual loading, so you have to do .load database. Or if you do auto load, the DB variable is immediately usable after that. So let's do that. So we'll do this. And we're just going to call this db.json. I believe it uses like JSON. Regardless, it'll save the file. Oh, so it looks like they're calling it .db. Let's call it .db. So let's call this bot.db. And then this DB file now is the database, and that's how we'll interact with it. So we'll just export it. So we'll do module.exports equals DB. Cool. And you could create, that basically works in what are called collections. And you can think of a collection as just a giant object. So everything in the object has an ID, and it can have a value of some kind, and that value can be any valid JavaScript type. So inserting documents. This is, why is their syntax so weird? But they're putting the commas before, oh, okay. But this is a JavaScript object, and then you just do db.insert, and this will insert this object essentially into the database, and I believe return the ID of the thing that it just inserted. I'm curious if it's promise-based. Actually, I think when I used this in the past, I had to use a separate library to make it promise-based. NeedDB promise. JT is asking, are you planning on making this one DB, one server, one guild, or are you thinking about supporting multiple guilds on a single server? Right now, I just want this to work on my server. My thought is if other people want to use something similar, they can deploy it to their own server. In reading the docs, a lot of people create bots that essentially manage multiple servers. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to manage this one server. So it'll have one database, and all of the information will just be in there. Yes. Hello, Edgar from Chile. Welcome. And Merchan. Welcome. Merchan, my eyes are bleeding right now. Like, I feel like they did this stuff on purpose, too. Like, what? Cool. Because the thing about this is we could do callbacks, but promises are more fun. Because then, so here's another thing I want to refactor. Like I think I was mixing async await and promises. I want to use async await everywhere. So let's get this promise thing going. A dead simple promise wrapper for NeedDB. Let's take a look. db.find, db.find1, db.insert. This looks good to me. Let's check out there's one open issue and one pull request. Missing installation guide, TypeScript typings. Let's do a little bit more research before we install this one. Let's look at the one that was published 2 years ago. NeedDB promise. Data store. db.insert, db.find1. Let's look at it on GitHub. 62 stars, 1 issue, count ends the process? What? Pull requests, add TypeScript definitions. I don't know. Do I use the 2-year-old one with more stars, or do I use the one that was published 2 months ago, or at least updated 2 months ago? Let's see what they did in the recent publish. Updated Mocha. Yeah, this one has more recent development. I don't know if that means it's better or not. What do you all think? Like, and this is the thing, like, a lot of people might just see, oh, I found this package on NPM, I'm just going to use it, but you should put some thought into it before you choose it. I like this one. It's more recent, and yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. So let's install it. NeDB promises. Cool. And then now, you basically do the same thing, but you require in NeDB promises instead of just NeDB. It uses it under the hood. So here, we'll do this. Oh, what's the license good call? I think it was MIT. Or does it have one? It doesn't have one. Oh, ISC, which is the default one, I think, when you create an NPM package. A permissive free software license published by the Internet Systems Consortium. It's functionally equivalent to the simplified BSD and MIT license, differing in its removal of language deemed unnecessary. Cool. So that's that one. But then what about this other one? ISC as well. But they have the same license. Okay. So here's what we want to do. We're going to be doing some inserting, some finding. Let's get to our README. So here's what I'm thinking. We will write the code that's listening for new users. And then when a new user gets added to the server, we're going to insert it into the database with 2 properties, code of conduct and introduction, and both of those will be false. And then we'll be listening for emoji reactions on the code of conduct message, and anytime we get one, we'll update this database for that specific user, and then we'll be listening for messages on introductions. Anytime we get a valid introduction message, we'll update this to be true. And for both of these, after it's updated it will check to see if both are true. And if both are true, then it moves them into the seedling role. So this is a much clearer and much simpler structure where you just have 2 things listening. They're adding it to the database, and then when both of those things are true, we move them into the other role, versus listening and then checking and all this other stuff we were doing last time. Merritt Chan, like Barney Stinson once said, new is always better. Yeah, JT is saying NeDB promise appears to be used more often. Oh, I guess you could look in the who depends on a specific library. So NeDB promise has 23 dependents, and NeDB promises has 3 dependents. I like this one better. I don't know. I'm gonna use this one. Okay. So let's set up that code. So basically, we need to listen for new users, which we're already doing. So right now on guild member add, we are getting that specific guild. And then, so this was another thing. I'm using this get roles by name function that I created, which I created this pretty early on in the stream in lib, which basically does a reduce and then creates an object where you can get it by a specific name. But I think they have it built in where you can just say and actually I don't want to use the name anymore. Now I actually want to use the ID, because I can actually just do guild. So I can just say germinating role is guild.roles.get and then germinating role ID. And that simplifies those 2 lines of code. So simply just grab that role. Member.guild.id, so we don't need to log that, but if the guild ID is equal to the guild ID that we're watching for, then we say member.user just joined the server. And technically, we don't need to get the germinating role unless it's this specific guild. And like I said, we're only listening on one server, but one thing I read yesterday, or at least saw, was because you all saw my client ID, you potentially could add cgbot to your server if you wanted to, because you know the client ID. But because I have this check here, any other server that it gets added to won't it really just ignore it. But I'm gonna change the client ID. Okay, so when a new member is added, we add the germinating role, and then we log member.user.username added to germinating role, and this is where we want to put them into the database with false false. So let's bring in the database. And actually now get roles by name is no longer needed in this file because we just used the map as it was built in. So let's bring in the DB. And then we can do db.insert. I believe we can set the ID. So I actually want the ID to be the actual member.user.id, so that way we can query by ID when we get emoji reactions and messages, and like separately, and we get messages. So we're going to insert them with where their ID is that given ID, and then we'll say code of conduct false and introduction false. So when a new user joins, we throw them in the database, and both of those things are false. And then we'll say .then inserted into B. DB. New is not always better. Sometimes. I don't know. It has more active recent development. Maybe they fixed some things. Cool. So this should do it. So when a new member joins, we're going to add the germinating role. And then after that role has been added, we'll insert them into the database and set code of conduct to false and introduction to false. So that should be it. Let's kill this thing, start it back up. You'll notice after it started up, it actually created this bot.db file. Right now it's totally empty. But if someone wants to leave and join the server, we can see this happen. Let me create an invite. Number of uses, let's do like 10 uses. So there's that. I guess I'll say, because it's delayed. I'm going to send this message, and I probably hadn't even said that I sent this message yet. Leave and rejoin. Limited to 10 people. Oh. Beverage break. So Rebel Fighter joined. Thank you, Rebel Fighter. Added to the germinating role and inserted into the DB. So if we look at our DB, it actually, so like I said, it's just a flat file JSON thing, and it inserted them, so they're in there. And now, as we're listening for, right now, the all the other code that we wrote last time is still running, so Rebel Fighter was actually able to still become a seedling. saying was perfectly in time. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. So that's awesome. So we're inserting them into the database. Now we can just change the code, which is listening for emoji reactions. So the way we were doing it before is when the server starts up, we grab the code of conduct message and then create a reaction collector, which is we'll just listen for reactions on it. So what we will do is first update this. I no longer, because, so I was doing silly things last time. I was doing like array.find, but because this, so let's pull up the docs for this, because, so this was a channels. So guild.channels is of type collection. But if we actually go to the docs and look at collection, it has a lot of cool things on it. It has filter, it has find. Technically, it's a map with extra features. So it has get, well, all the things built into map like get. So last time I was doing array.find, I literally could just do channels.get introduction channel ID. Done. And then channels.get welcome channel ID. Ugh, look at me. And it should just work. Yeah. However, let's think through our logic. So last time we were listening for emoji reactions, and then when we got an emoji reaction, we would check to see if any member of the emoji reactions was in the germinating role, and if they were, we would then search the introduction channel for messages. We're not going to do that. Now we're just going to say, when a user emoji reacts, if they are a, what do you call it? If they're in the germinating role, add them, update the database to say true for that given user. Let's see, there is a for each on here, I think, or is there? Identical to map.forEach. What does map.forEach do? This is going to give you key and value, key. Okay, so if you do a for each on a map, you get value, key, and then map. So I literally don't have to turn this into an array. I was doing such silly things last time. Cool. Dare is asking, do reactions persist between leaving, then joining the servers? If so, how will you deal with users rejoining? I don't know if they do, but if a user rejoins, they're just going to have to go through the code of conduct and introduction message process again. And I'm okay with that. Yeah. So last time on Coding Garden, we grabbed the welcome channel, we grabbed the code of conduct message, and then we created this reaction collector. So this is something that listens for reactions on a given message. So we're doing collector.collect, and then it collects a given reaction, and we should be able to do just users.forEach instead of having to do array, because the first value passed into a for each of a map gives you the values of the map. And then we need to get the guild member for that given user. I'm doing an await here. Actually, let's refactor this. Let's just make this, instead of like awaiting inside of here, let's get all of the guild members and then iterate over those. Well, that's a good call. JT is mentioning I could make a leave server event listener that would basically remove any code of conduct reactions from that user. Yeah, I think I'll add that to, I probably won't do that today, but that's a good future implementation. Listen for leave server, remove code of conduct reactions. But I mean, the thing is, if they were on the server and they emoji reacted and they came back, they technically still read the code of conduct, but you know. Yeah, and I think the thing is, if you leave and rejoin, all of your roles go away, don't they? Cool. Where were we? So yeah, right now I'm doing like this await thing. Let's not do this. Basically, we want an array of guild members. So let's say like guild members will be reaction.users. I think I can do, let's look at map on this collection. A function taking 3 arguments. What are the 3 arguments? Identical to array.map. Cool, so that will give us the values of this map. So if we map and we get each user, we want to do guild.fetchMember with that given user. And we'll await this. We'll do await promise.all. And then that should give us all of the guild members. And we need this now to be an async function. I did mention earlier we're going to make these things async functions, so I can probably fix that. So now, instead of iterating over that, I can do guild members dot for each guild member. I want to check to see if they're in the germinating role, and if they are, we don't want to check to see if they have a message in introductions. We just want to insert them into the database. That they have emoji reacted. Yeah, so we can get rid of all of that code. I think I have a similar code elsewhere. Get rid of the introduction channel. And then if they're in the germinating role, we then need to update them in the database. So let's do db.update. And the query we want is where ID is guild member .id. And the second parameter to update is what do we want to update. And on this, we basically want to say, what do we call it? Introduction, code of conduct is true. I believe, though, if you call update, it's going to replace that user in the database with, it's gonna override it. That's usually how MongoDB works. So in order to just update that property on this document in the store, we actually want to do like, I believe we want to do like a set, but let's see. Oh, that's true, yeah. So RoboFlutter is mentioning, like, if someone leaves and then comes back, if they have already read the code of conduct and gave an introduction, you can just immediately add those roles back. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, so yeah, we're putting that in the database, and then basically we just need to, let me double check. I think we may need to do like a $set. Yeah, operators. The modifiers create the fields they need to modify if they don't exist. Available field modifiers are set to change a field's value. So I think what we need to do is say $set code of conduct to true. So this way it won't overwrite that thing in the database with that ID. It'll just set code of conduct to true on it. And then we should get back the, let's call it info. Well, no, let's async await. And then once we have the info, we'll say if info.codeofconduct and info.introduction, then add to seedling. And let's also make this be an async await. So let's say message equals that. And then all the code in the dot then. can get out of the dot then and be put there. Cool. What is this complaining about? Defined but never used. Okay, so get all the guild members. Thank you. Somebody's emoji reacting. But let's... yeah, let me save this. Cool. Yeah, and technically I don't want to wait for all of these. I can do these like that. So rebel no. Let's see. Message.create reaction collector is not a function. Oh, I need to await this. And now this needs to be an async function. Cool. Let's just log info. Rebel Fighter, can you emoji react, please? Because I believe you're the only one in my database. Thanks, Oliver. I didn't add await. Rebel Fighter, can you emoji react right quick? I think he's on a 2-minute delay. Just did a bunch. Oh, he's not the germinating role though. Ugh, sorry. For now, we'll just do if true. Again. Yep. Shouldn't, and actually so Oliver just asked if someone is germinating but not in the DB, does it crash? It shouldn't. I believe when you say update, I think update might be an upsert, and like if it doesn't exist, it'll put it in the database. Yeah, so it just returns 0, like there were nothing updated in the database because no user had that ID. Cool, but update is just returning 1, which is not what we want. We actually want this to return the document itself. So let's look at update. Yeah, so num replaced will give you what things have been updated. But I want to get back the document itself. Let's look at NBD promises. Might have to find it. With 1.1, you can simply call .then on a cursor to request the documents in the promise. Note that exec is still necessary when find is in the .then of a promise chain. So data store.find. What is exec doing? I may need to just query it again. Options object had a return updated documents thing. Query update options. Okay. Let's look at EDB dot update, we're looking at return updated box. Defaults to false, not MongoDB compatible. True. So now, again, we should get back the full object that has code of conduct and info.introduction. Oh no, Rebel Fighter's gotta go. Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah, so that works. Badass. Okay, so this is great. So if that's the case, then we need to insert them into the seedling role. And we already have the code to do that elsewhere. I deleted it, but we also have it in here. We now need to check if it's undefined. So that is what we need to do. Add to seedling. Let's make a quick little function. Add to seedling. And it takes in the guild member. Cool. So if info and info.codeofconduct, we'll say add to seedling with guild member. Cool. This is going to be so easy now. So we have it working for emoji reactions. Now we just have to listen for what do you call it? For messages and introductions, yeah. Yeah, so dear Dominator, that's what was happening last time. So last time my code got extremely complex because it was, okay, if they just sent a message in introductions, is it 140 characters? Great. And then if it is, let's make sure that they've emoji reacted. Cool, let's add them. Then if they emoji react, let's see if they have sent a message in introductions, and if they have, then add them. This is going to be much simpler, and that's what we did last time, and I had it working. But this will be much simpler because the code for listening for messages is going to be the exact same as this. So then we'll set introduction to true, and then just check the code and add them, which is great. So let's do that now. So if you all emoji react, we should be catching it. So it should store it in the database. And then now we need to listen for messages. Yeah. And really, we really want to do this. We could put this in a function. Let's say check move. Yeah, well, we already have a function called check move to seedling, but it will be exactly the same. Check move to seedling, but in this case we only need the guild member. And then we have this function check move to seedling that takes in the guild member and then does this stuff. Guild member.roles, get it. If they are the germinating role, then add them to seedling. Oh, but then we need to set which property we want to set to true. So we'll pass in the property, and then here we'll say property. But then in this case, check move to seedling should pass in code of conduct like that. Cool. And then now we'll do check move to seedling. So if this is the guild, and if this the channel is the introduction channel, then we have access to the message. So we're gonna have to write we're gonna basically move the logic that's in check move to seedling. So we have that old message, old thing that's gonna go away. But if we look in here, this is what we had to do. Where are we checking 140 characters? Oh, message length. So if germinating role and message.content.length, yeah, this is gonna be we're gonna remove so much code. Oh my god. Oh, we need to make this an async function. Watch this, guys. Watch this. So right here, if message.content.length is greater than or equal to min intro message length, then check move to seedling, but with introduction. And now we need min intro message length here. Wow, I should have done this yesterday. I would have been done in like an hour yesterday. But now we need the guild member. So we have the code for getting a guild member by, we need to copy that. Guild.fetchMember with a user. And guild comes from, okay, we're gonna have to do that here. And then guild we need to grab just like we did up here. And then this needs to be async. And this is no longer user, this is author. Okay, that is it. That is it. And then you see this file with all of this code? Gone, deleted. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. So basically, what we have is, we have this function that you pass it in a guild member, it checks to see if they're a germinator. If they are, it will then update the database with the property that we passed in. So this is either going to be code of conduct or introduction. And then after it gets it back, if code of conduct and introduction are checked, it adds them to seedling. So when they emoji react, we check for code of conduct. And when they send a message in the introduction channel that meets the minimum length, we check move to seedling for introduction. This is it. Code is just gonna work. Can someone who is currently a germinator, oh, I already have guild, never mind. So I can just do guild like that. Okay, somebody who is a germinator, intro please. Undefined has become a seedling. But now, yeah, so now PH swimmer has been moved into seedling. Awesome. So that works. I'm just logging the wrong thing. Has become a seedling. Guild member dot user dot username, I think. Let's look at the docs for guild member. Guild member dot user dot username. Cool. So yeah, it's badass. It works, and it's so much easier than what I did last night. Oh my god. And so much less code too. Wow. It's awesome. Okay, you join the server. We put you in the database, code of conduct false, introduction false. Then whenever you send an introduction message, it sets introduction true. Then whenever you emoji react, it sets code of conduct true. If both of those are true, you get moved into seedling. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Should be able to kill it again. Hey, Christian. Is Christian in the ceilings group right now? No. But yeah, so the code right now is checking for if you're in the Germinator role. Awesome. I think I can get rid of this console log because I'm basically listening for emoji reactions forever. No, like JT has it exactly. Now you're equipped to solve a hard problem. One of your old professors used to say, to solve a hard problem easily, first solve an easy problem the hard way. and I think that's the thing. Like we always learn so much in coding. Like first you just have to figure it out, and you have no idea. Like what is the lay of the land? What are the libraries I can use? How do these things work? And then once you really get a bigger picture, you have much better ideas for how to solve like problems. Christian, kind of listening with half an ear while trying to refresh my Panda skills. Okay. But this is it. This is great. Thank you, Oliver. I should async await some more. So right now I've got a then and a catch. Cool. Yeah, because I'm doing like the add roll. Okay. So let's do member. Let's do await member.add roll. And then we'll have to move these into awaits as well. But then we need a try catch. I mean, technically, pretty much any await we have should be a try catch, but that's our error handling. This is our try, and then we can await this and remove the dot then. Let's enable console logs because I do want, and I mean that in my ESLint file. What's the name of the ESLint? No console. We're gonna make that false. Cool. So we've got that. That's great. That's there. Do I have any more? I'm curious, what if I create a reaction collector without, because this thing accepts a filter, and I'm giving it a filter that makes everything true. I don't know. Yeah, this can definitely be async awaited up. So beautiful. Async await is a beautiful thing. Yeah. Oh, look at that code. So good. We got configs. We got environment variables. We've got a database. We've got async await. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, good call. Yeah, so we can clean this up a bit because right now it's just assuming that the thing already exists in the database. But yes, Oliver's mentioning guild member capitalization. Everywhere we have this, it's just like a lowercase m. We need to make sure that this is an uppercase m. Cool. We should do the DB insert in parallel with adding a role. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And then there may be issues with duplicate entries in the DB if a germinator leaves and rejoins. Yeah, actually, I might be able to do an upsert. Let's see if the upsert function exists. Upsert defaults to false. If you want to insert a new document corresponding to the update rules, if your query doesn't match anything. Yeah, let's use upsert instead. So we'll do upsert, and because an upsert is like a combined insert and update. So if it finds, oh, sorry, we're in a promise all. Don't want to do that. If upsert finds a document that has this ID, it's just going to set these properties. If it doesn't, it's going to insert these properties. And cool, and that will actually make it so that, well, that'll be interesting. That makes it so that if they rejoin the server, they have to read the code of conduct again and have to make an introduction again because it's making these false. And Oliver's mentioning same with adding and removing roles. I just don't want one to fail while the other doesn't, but like technically I could do both of these in parallel. Yeah. It's promises, but we're asking about async await. Yeah, so I will answer your question, Mike. What is async await? Remember that promise.all can mask errors. That upsert was an option flag for the update function. Oh, I need to say true for update. So, oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, this should be insert, or no, this should be update. And in my options, I need to say upsert is true. There we go. Okay. Oh, and Oliver's saying promise.all can mask errors. Oh, what's wrong with me? Of course, this needs to be an array. I think I did that everywhere, didn't I? Oh, there's only 2 spots. Cool. Okay. Oh, wait, is somebody in the voice channel over here? I'm in the voice channel over here. Can you clarify, Oliver, promise.all can mask errors? Like, is it that if either of these two fail, then it will catch. But promise.all, I mean, I don't want to add an inline catch right here, do I? Because that would do something weird with the await. Regardless, okay. Mike Metcalf asked about what is async await. Basically, async await allows you to write asynchronous code, but in a more procedural way, meaning instead of having essentially callbacks, everything reads like top down, but the code is actually still asynchronous. So for example, right here I have fetch message. So fetch message is a function that returns a promise, meaning it does not get the message immediately. It has to go out to the interwebs, get the message, and come back. So you think of it like just a fetch or an AJAX request. So it is asynchronous. And by putting the await keyword there, basically the code below this line is going to wait for this to finish. When it finishes, it's going to put the value in message, and then we can use message below it. But it's exactly equivalent to doing fetch message dot then, and then having a function that will get access to the message. But it just allows us to write the code in a much flatter way. Yeah, so Oliver's mentioning if add role and remove role both throw, then one of them will be ignored. Which is why I want both of these. Yeah, so I guess that's the idea with the promise all. If anything in that thing fails, all of them will stop running. Is there a way to do run? I mean, I guess that wouldn't make sense though. Run all of them and only catch. I guess what I need to do nested dot catches here. Don't know. Here, I'm gonna push this code up to GitHub. And I have been streaming for 1 hour and 30, so I'll probably end it pretty soon. I think I did pretty much everything I wanted. So listens for new users, adds them to the database, listens for emoji reactions, adds them to the database, listens for introductions, and then updates when it receives that message. So that's all great. These are things I want to do in the future. Like right now, technically getting emoji reactions for a given message is limited to 100 reactions. But actually, I don't have to care about that anymore because I'm listening to any new incoming reaction. So it doesn't have to care about the limit. So be gone. Okay. Oliver, yeah, let me push this code up though. Oh, I'm committing. No, I don't want to commit my bot. Cached. Cool. And I'm going to put the bot in the .env. Or sorry, .getignore. Because bot.db I don't want to upload to GitHub. I just ran that command like 3 times. Sparkles. Refactor. Add ESLint. Refactor. Async await. Is there like a weightlifting emoji? Yeah. Is there a sink emoji? Is there a bathtub emoji? Yeah. A sink and a wait. Cool. And Oliver mentioned they've posted something in live. Okay, let's take a look. So you have an async function. You do member.addRole and member.removeRole, and then a try catch here and a try catch here. The issue with this though is it's still technically one after another, isn't it? Or if you have 2 try catch blocks, do they run in parallel? And then this one. But the thing about await in a for, I believe this is blocking, right? Like it doesn't go on to the next for until the previous one finishes. So this is kind of like doing one after the other. But I guess if I did a promise.all with nested catch here. Yeah, and I guess really I don't want to, well, I was going to say I don't want to add them to seedling if they're in germinating, but I think I do. Like if they don't get removed from one or the other. They at least need to get added to seedling. Error, adding to seedling role. And then we want to do a similar thing with remove role. Error removing from germinating role. Really, I want to throw, so is add to seedling right now in a try catch? Check move to seedling is here. Really, I want to put this in a try. Well, no, because if either of them fail, technically, I want, Hey, Alka, welcome to the stream. Yeah, Deer's mentioning create a file that contains the client ID variable and run bots through my account. Yeah, I on the last stream I revealed my client ID, but I'm just gonna create a totally new client ID. But right now, my client ID is not being used. I think I have in the README, I have like a fake client ID telling you how to authorize the bot. But I do need to change my client ID. Yeah, and that's so catching like this will make it no longer throw. That's what I was thinking about. Like, then this is always going to log, and that doesn't make sense because if this always logs, then it might log even if it did catch. But I'm curious, Oliver. Like, I was under the impression that inside of a function, the moment it reaches an await. Oh, is it because it's because we're firing them off in parallel? I see. So we're calling both of them here, which fires off the promise. So they're both happening in parallel, and then we're waiting for them synchronously. Okay, because I was thinking like we weren't firing them off until here, and that would actually do this one and then wait and then do the next one. But by putting both of them there, it's doing them in parallel. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So I think I'll do it like this, because then I can so let's do this. So we can do add seedling. Well, let's call this add role, and then remove role. We'll be firing off this. And then we can do our try catch. So try add role, awaiting add role. and then that can go in the try, because if it succeeds, that will log. Then we have another try to do the await of the remove role. Cool. I like that. So DB update, I mean, technically shouldn't, I mean, like I'm thinking, should I try catch this? But I think it'll be okay. And then same thing here. Like adding the role could fail. Let's do it. Add role is that insert DB is that. Well, oh, but we have them both in the same try catch. We need to put a separate try catch. Add role goes there. Insert DB there goes there. Await add role goes there. I can do this. And then await insert DB goes there. Error inserting into DB. Won't log the error. Okay, that's nice. Oliver's mentioning I'd probably call it add role promise for added clarity that it shouldn't be an immediate await. In terms of waiting here? Yeah. In JavaScript, I tend to avoid like putting the types of things on the name of the variable. But in JavaScript, like sometimes it makes sense just because there is no typing involved. Just for clarity. Cool. Lost your success console log on the second one. Thank you, Alka. Yes, right here I need to say this. Inserted into DB. JT's saying, I still think a lot of this should be a role assignment event listener. It'll help you better handle the case of a Patreon backer joining the server. Good call. Because, well, the one thing is though is with the permissions. Interesting. But with the permissions model of Discord, the roles actually. The higher up the roles are, you inherit all of those settings. So a patron, who are fertilizers, might have the germinating role now with this logic in place, but they'll still be able to access everything because they have the patron role. But I see what you're saying. Role, yeah. So I can listen for when roles are assigned, and if someone is assigned the fertilizers role, like remove germinating role if it's on there. Yeah, everyone gets assigned the everyone role. And JT is mentioning you basically want anyone who gets upgraded to get removed from the database. That's true. Yeah, because the moment they're no longer a seed. Well, the thing is, everyone's a seedling. Even oh, maybe not. Everyone was a seedling starting yesterday, and anyone who had other roles doesn't have the seedling role. But I think it's okay that people keep the seedling role. I see what you're saying though. Like the moment, actually, and that's the thing. The moment so this is, I think this is one last thing I'll do before I end the stream. The moment they get removed, the moment we change them to seedling, we should just remove them from the database to prevent, like, if we get thousands of users, we don't want to have like stale data in the database. So that's a good thought. And Alke is mentioning on add to seedling. Did I? Yes. Thank you. Has been removed from germinating. Cool. Yeah, and so I think technically I literally want to remove them. So on successful becoming of a seedling, let's remove them from the germinating, like remove them from the database. So we'll do db.delete or remove. I need to look at the docs. Oop. Dot remove. We'll just await this. The ID is guildmember.id. Yeah, guildmember.id. Hey Bob, welcome to the stream. And all we're mentioning, then your upgrade is just adding seedling and the event handler would handle the removal. Oh, I see. So if I listen for role change, like when someone becomes a seedling or a patron or something like that, automatically remove the germinating role. And that way I'm just listening for it and it's not happening all in the same method. I think I do like that. Yeah, and Platypodes is mentioning, so the role hierarchy. So the higher up it is, anything higher up inherits all of the privileges of anything below it. Christian is asking what are droplets. So that's anyone that has donated either via Super Chat or in Streamlabs. So I don't have an automated way of assigning them, but anyone that has... where I recognize their name in YouTube and recognize their name on Discord, I've added them to the droplets category. But that's one thing I want to try to automate in the future. Like if someone, there should be a way in Discord where you can maybe tell the bot what your YouTube ID is or YouTube name is. And if you ever super chat, then it can put you in droplets. But right now, that's just a manual process. Yeah, JT, you have a great point. However, I've been streaming for an hour and 46 minutes, and I did say I would show how I'm going to deploy this thing, so I think I want to do that. But I will absolutely add that to the list because that makes sense for like just in the long term, right? Because as roles change, you want to make sure that I don't have like lots of extra information in the database. So listen for leave server. We also need to listen for role change. Remove from DB. Yeah, and Alka is asking, do I use a service for non-YouTube based donations like Streamlabs? I do use Streamlabs. There is a Streamlabs bot in the chat, but I've not really even looked into if there's any way of automating giving people roles with the Streamlabs bot. I guess there has to be. Well, I know in like Twitch chat, it has integration. I don't know if it has integration with like the YouTube chat. But yeah, people can donate via Streamlabs. Okay. That's true. Oliver, it is what, 2 a.m. there? Shouldn't you be in bed? 3 a.m.? Yeah, and like that's one thing I would love to do is like keep track of how much somebody has donated. And in terms of like other ideas I have for the bot is like in some of the help channels, you should be able to like give thanks to a user, and that will give them a certain number of like contributor points or something like that. And then if people contribute enough, then that will give them special access to like more closely guarded channels. Really, just to help build the community. Like it helps to help other people. It helps to give back. It helps, like, absolutely helps if you're supporting the channel. So those kinds of things. It's 3 a.m. Oh, it's even worse for Christian. I feel like it's super interesting for y'all on the other side of the world, like, because cool stuff's happening over here, but it's like, oh, I say cool stuff. This is cool stuff you're watching right now, but it's like super early in the morning. Streamlabs might have an API. I'm pretty sure they have a Twitch bot. Triggering alerts, posting donations. That actually like programmatically allows you to set up donations. Donations.create. Yeah, so I could get access to donations, create alerts. Whoa. Alka, oh man, it's 9 p.m. It's so late. Okay. Yeah, let's deploy this thing. I think I want to use I think it's called Lightsail on AWS. You can like spin up a server for like $5 a month. Let's do that. I'm gonna give myself 10 minutes to deploy this thing. Whoa, what's happening with my green screen? Oh no, that's my water bottle. Okay. Let's look up. Oh, Oliver, you work remotely? That's awesome. Or at least work from bed. I'm trying to do that. My next gig I think will be like at least partial remote, which I think will be awesome. Okay. AWS Lightsail. Lightsail. Cool. This is very similar, starting at $350 per month. That's awesome. So this is very similar if you've heard of DigitalOcean. You can pay $5 a month and get a Linux server that you have SSH access to. It has limits on how much data it can transfer, how much data you can store. But basically, I need a server that's running all the time, and that's where this bot will live. New plan starting from $350 a month. Yeah, let's do it. Let's pay $350 a month and get us a Lightsail server. So I'm gonna log in to my account real quick. 1 second. Oh, no, I'm not typing a password right now. Never. Okay, so I'm logged in, and now on Amazon Lightsail, I can click Create an Instance. Let's click the button. I definitely want Linux. Do I want it to include node.js? I usually like installing it myself, like with Node Version Manager. Powered by Bitnami, pre-configured, ready to run image for running node.js. And it is version 10.1, which I think might be LTS. What about OS only? I could get Ubuntu. Let's just get one that has Node on it. It'll be pretty easy to set up. You can add a shell script that will run on your instance the first time it launches. Don't want to do that. You're using the default SSH key pair for connecting to your instance. Platyplodes, welcome. I think I saw you in the YouTube chat. Added to the germinating role, and we should see some logs as to when you acknowledge code of conduct and then send an introduction. Change SSH key pair. Let me hide my screen real quick. I don't know what's going to show up. Creating an SSH key pair in Virginia. Please create. Key pair name. Cool. Got myself a key. Let's move this into dev. Okay, so I have created a new SSH key pair and then downloaded it. That lets you download a PIM file, which contains the secret information for connecting to the server. I'm going to do the $350 a month, 512 megabytes of RAM, 20 gigabytes of storage, 1 terabyte of network transfer. Name your instance. Can I do cgbot? I can. Create it. Right, I'm gonna hide my screen in case it shows like the IP address. cgbot is already taken. Coding garden bot. Cool. So it is currently being created. We're spinning up a server in the cloud. And in a second, I'll be able to connect to it. I'll make sure it has Git. I'll pull down the code base and then install PM2 so that process can run all the time. But I'm going to hide my screen while this is happening because I don't want you all to see my... Oh, wait. Did you already see my... I think you already saw my IP address. Dang it. Oh, Christian's starting an internship. Awesome. Working on maths. Oliver's asking, I wonder how expensive it would be to run a Docker Fargate solution. I'm not familiar with Docker Fargate. Run containers without having to manage servers. The only thing about that is like typically containers are meant to just like spin up on demand, and this is something that needs to be running all the time. So I don't know. Oh yeah, the intro min is just 40 characters. But yes, you saw my IP address. I'll probably just delete that instance and create a new one. But I do want to show how it all works. Oh, cool. Christian's mentioning used to teach math, but aiming for data science. That's all the rage. So Galvanize has an immersive data science program, and a lot of people there's a lot of demand for data science nowadays. So like data science is just a new word for like analytics, maths, like yeah. Server is spinning up. Okay, the server is up. And actually, cool, it shows, oh, I think that's the internal IP. Regardless, let's show the screen. I'm gonna bring this this instance down after the stream, but it's really cool. On Amazon Lightsail, you can click this little button, and boom, you get an SSH shell in your browser. This is my IP address. Please don't denial of service attack this server or try to get into it. Like I said, I'm gonna create a new server after the stream. So we're essentially connected remotely to this computer, and I want to make sure it has Git. It does have Git. Cool. So let's actually push up the latest code, and then we'll clone this repo down so that way we can run it on the server. What changed? Lots of things changed. Things change. Time moves forward. Push it up. So the latest code is on GitHub. Okay, so platypodes added to the terminating rule. Platypodes has become a seedling. Our code is working, and if we know our code is working for sure, platypodes should not be in the flat file database. These people were in there before, but should be able to get rid of that. Okay. Hello, Fiona. Welcome. Yeah, what were we doing? Okay, we're gonna clone the repo onto that remote server. So let's go to GitHub. Let's go to the server, and let's clone it down. Git clone. Can I not command V? No! Oh, there's a paste button down here. What? Yeah, this just is for taking notes? Come on. You're gonna make me type the SSH. Jeez. Okay, I could connect through SSH in the terminal, but let's, like, in this terminal over here, let's just do this. Is it just the same URL with .git? It is. Okay. Okay, here we go. Git clone. HTTP. Oh no. github.com/codinggarden/discord-manager.git. Cool. So now the code is here. There is a sample env, and we need to create a .env. So let's copy the .sample env to the .env. And then we're going to need to edit the .env. We're on a remote machine, so we can use something like VI, unless Vim comes with it. I need to update my token. I guess that's the only thing I need to update. So in Vim, we press I to go into insert mode. And then we can not know the shortcut for how to delete to the end of the line, but our bot token goes here, and then we can save the file. I'm going to hide my screen real quick while I get my bot token. Control Shift V, Command click. Don't know. But yeah, let me grab my bot token now. Yeah, my screen is hidden. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna have to manually type the token. Okay, I'm gonna try these keyboard shortcuts people have mentioned. The token was hidden, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the token was hidden. Yeah, no, yeah, because I put the sample env in the repo, so it would make it easy to just copy it and then update what you need, like the secret parts. Okay, if I have to manually type this token, I swear. Tokens are meant to be free. Okay, what did people suggest? They suggested Control Shift V. Nope, that doesn't work. Command click. God dang it. Okay, you know what I'm just gonna connect in my regular terminal. Like I thought it'd be cool to show, hey, you can do this. You could just click a button and get a remote server for $3.50 a month. But I'm gonna connect in the terminal. Okay. I just want to show real quick. I'm a real developer. I know how to quit Vim. We can go into command insert mode. We can do right quit, please. There we go. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remotely connect to this thing, but in this terminal where I have the ability to actually paste in, because I'm not gonna type that that token in like manually. So let's do this. I need to exit here. I guess I can close this window. I'm gonna hide my screen while I connect, just so, I mean, you've already seen the IP address, but let's connect. No, not like that. SSH connect with PEM file? Yeah. So I think the user, oh, what is the default user? I can launch this to see. Who am I? Bitnami is the user. And then I can throw in the IP address. I know you can't see my screen, by the way. I just want to get the command correct. Cool. Okay, so I will show this. So whenever you, when I showed earlier that I created a PEM file and downloaded it, so I have the PEM file stored on my machine, and now, like, this is a super secret file. You want to protect this with your life. You don't want to make it public to the world, because anyone that has this file can immediately connect to your server without a password. So I'm going to connect to the server. Bad permissions, oh, they need to be 644. So once you've downloaded that file, you need to change permissions. Chmod, change the mode to 644 of that file, and then try connecting again. Is it chmod without the 0? There we go. No. Oh, to open. What do they need to be? PEM file permissions. What is the right permissions for a PEM file? 400. Chmod 400 cg bot PEM. Okay, so now that it has the right permissions, I should be able to connect, and I'm in. Cool. So now I can go in and copy and paste all I want. So if I now, I'm gonna, okay, so if you are a noob and you're like trying to create a, or like edit in the command line, you can use something called nano. It's a little bit easier than VI. And then I need to edit the .env. Cool. And so right now, so this behaves like any editor you would expect. So now I'm gonna hide my screen while I paste in my token. Cool, paste works. Okay, so save this file. So now, on this server, the .env has been updated with the token, so it should be good to go. We do need to do an npm install, and because we got a box that had a node on it already, it's good to go. Yeah, put something in the box and press Control-Enter. Maybe that could have worked. Oh, Alka found it. When you press the clipboard button in the toolbar, you can paste the password into the area that will be available on the machine when you right-click. Whoa. Putty has right-click paste. Okay, so we did an npm install. Now we should be able to start up the bot. So I'm going to kill the bot on my local machine and start it up here. Logged in. Great. So yeah, the bot is running. But now we actually want to set this up with PM2 so that it's watching it all the time. They have the guides in here for doing that. Managing your bot process with PM2. So PM2 is something you can install globally. And then you just say start, and it just watches that process. And if it ever crashes, it'll automatically restart it. So that's pretty great. So let's do that. I'm going to do Control-Z, which will stop it. And then I'm going to say BG1. So now it's, well, actually, I don't want it to run in the background at all. No, I don't. Okay. Jobs. Foreground 1. Okay, kill it. Let's install this PM2 thing. And essentially, this is a program that will watch the process, and if it ever crashes, it'll restart it. Oh no, permission. You're gonna make me sudo install this? I think this is why I like managing Node myself, because I use Node Version Manager, and you can just install it in the user's directory. It doesn't require any special permissions for like npm installs. Cool. And then I probably have to do like sudo, let's try it without sudo, pm2 start source, source/index.js. Cool. So name, index, online, 0% CPU usage. Now we can, should be able to monitor things. Can I do pm2 list? Oh, it's behind my head, sorry. So the command I just ran was pm2 start, and that you just pass it the name of the node script you want to run, and it's now running this behind the scenes. If I do pm2 list, yeah, there are one process is running, and if I do pm2 show index, we can see it's using Git. That's awesome. Outlog path is here, index out. So this is now running behind the scenes. I could literally just exit, and my Linux server is still running in the cloud. This thing is still running behind the scenes, and it's just good to go. If it crashes, it'll restart. But let's say I want to debug something, I can reconnect. And then I did that pm2 show index, and it gave me the location of the output logs here. And so if I want to see like how is this process doing, I can do what's called tailing the logs. So a tail means just read the last few lines of a file, and then I can do tail -f, which means follow, and this is just going to watch any output from the bot. So technically the bot is still running behind the scenes, but any like console logs are getting put into this file. And so later on, if I want to debug the bot, I can log into the server and then list out any logs or anything that's happened. Okay, that was deploying. We probably would want to set this up for when the server reboots, but I don't ever plan on shutting down the server. I mean, actually, I'm gonna kill this server and then put it on a different server, because you all know my IP address now. But that is it. This was fun. This was not a 5-hour stream, so that's awesome. We've got some more to-dos. We've got more ideas of how we should code this thing, but thanks everyone. Thanks everyone for participating, for helping me debug this thing. Any last questions or comments before I end the stream? And hello, platypodes. Platypodes? Platypodes. Is there a platypus emoji? Platypus. What about a duck? Have a duck. There you go. The thing is... Oh, Skelly, will I get stuck as a germinating or become a seedling? Technically, this is a good... okay, because this was like the... what do you call it? the intermediary phase where we didn't have things working and then you left. I can add you manually, but this shouldn't happen with any new users, because basically what happened is you joined before I had the code working, and so the bot doesn't have that you join the server. Let's see. Technically, try doing this. Skelly, can you if you're watching on YouTube. Oh, I can just type here. And I can. There we go. Thanks, Alka. I've had that open forever. Clyde, why did you join my server? It did not log. Actually, I can debug this. Yeah, there's nothing in bot.db. Okay, if anyone needs me to, I'll move you over manually, but this shouldn't happen with anyone incoming. Who is Clyde? Who invited Clyde? Who invited Clyde to my to my server? Can I kick him off? Support-based bot made for you. List of commands. Oh, did somebody do the Clyde command? Yeah, and so like that was the main issue. There was no DB entry for when they joined. So yeah. Oh, Clyde is a Discord thing because I closed that message. Cool. I'm like super paranoid now. Like somebody's gonna watch my videos and like get my client IDs and like try to mess with our server. Okay. On bot starting, you should check to see if there are any people without roles and set them to germinating in case someone joins and the bot is down for whatever reason. That's a good point. Basically when it starts up, any users that potentially joined the server when the bot was down would need to be moved into the germinating role. That's a really good point. I'm going to add that to the to-do. So far, like the bot ran perfectly fine like all day today and overnight, so it should be okay for now. But if not, new users still have the ability to post an introduction, so they can like yell help if they don't get put into the germinating role. On startup, get all users without a role and add them to germinating. Good call. Thank you for that. Yeah, so you all are like I'd never seen Clyde before, but he's built in. And Oliver's saying now Clyde will harass CJ. Okay, but that's it. I'm done for tonight. I'm going to delete this server that I just got and get a new one. Thanks everyone for tuning in again. These are all good quality items. QL, quality of life. Is that what that means? Yeah, there's work to be done. So check germinating roles that aren't in. So I would probably do that on booting up. Get all users that are in the germinating role and make sure that they're in the database. And then all of my code comes back from last time, which is checking to see if they have sent an introduction and setting it to true or false, and then checking reactions. It's all good, Rebel Fighter. Thanks for your help earlier. The latest code is up on GitHub. Ultimately, we're very proud of, or at least I'm very proud of how much more condensed and less code it is than last time. So like we use a lot of async await. It's pretty beautiful though, because we're watching for reactions, we're watching for messages, and then when either happens, we check the DB, and if both are true, you are now a seedling. Yeah, QL is quality of life. Platypod is asking, what was that server side? I was using AWS Lightsail. Here. It's from Amazon. They have a servers as cheap as $3.50 a month. So this server here is $3.50 a month. I believe if you already have an Amazon account, you can just log in. You might have to add credit card info. And actually, if you are totally new to AWS, they have an entire year of the free tier. I don't know if Lightsail is included on the free tier, but you can get an EC2 server on the free tier, which requires a little bit more configuration than something like this. But these are basically just servers in the cloud that you can purchase. Okay, I think I'm going to end it there. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for participating. Next live stream will probably be, I think I might skip Code Codice tomorrow just because I streamed so much the past 2 days, and I streamed every day this weekend, including Monday. So I'll probably take a break from Katas, and we'll maybe be back on Friday, but we'll see. All right. Hey, Himanshu. Alka is mentioning Lightsail potentially has a free month, but look into it. I mean, even so, $3.50 a month is great, especially if you just want a Linux server. Like, the thing is, you can do so much more than just having a bot running there. Like, you could install Nginx and like forward ports and have multiple processes running and host an Express server there, and it's a full-fledged computer in the cloud. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna go. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And yeah, I hope if any user is in purgatory, like can't join Seedlings, please shoot me a message and I'll move you in. You may have to direct message me though, but regardless, let me know. We'll get you going. All right, wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, and we'll see you next time. Here's this.